Now we've got it going. All right, the Commissioners Court will hold a special ordered session. It's 1 p.m. in the County Administration Building, 200 South Texas Avenue. So let's take a roll. Commissioner Berry and me, Judge Peters are here, and we've got on the phone Sammy Catalina and Steve Aldridge. Is that correct? Everybody here?
Yes.
And Commissioner Cawley, are you on? Apparently Commissioner Cawley's not on yet. Okay, so we've got a quorum.
That might be her. Yeah.
Commissioner Cawley. Okay, maybe.
No.
Commissioner Cawley, is that you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, all right. Well, we were just fixing to start the meeting, and we were having a roll call to see who all was on. So we've got all five commissioners, or all five of the Commissioners Court here. Here or on the phone. So the first item is to call the order. The second is notice of an emergency meeting is being provided in accordance with section 551.045 of the Texas Government Code. This emergency meeting is being scheduled to take appropriate action on the following.
Move approval, order number 1 and order number 2.
Okay.
Okay, motion made and seconded to approve order A and B. So I guess we ought to have some discussion about now that we've got a motion and a second, about what all this is and kind of how we've got to this point. The two cities have passed their declarations. This fairly well mirrors what they've done in our order number 1. We did a small clarification in there that we felt like would be necessary in Section 5, which we clarified that it's not meant to apply to grocery stores, retail stores, and pharmacies, that sort of thing. But we still expect people to follow the CDC guidelines, even in those areas, and try to maintain a 6-foot distance between one another, use hand sanitizer, do all the things that CDC expects, even though nobody's trying to shut down any grocery stores, pharmacies, or any of those essential businesses that we need to maintain for the citizens of Brazos County. So what this does is set this in place until April the 3rd, and then at that point, the Commissioners Court.
And Judge, if I may, under order number 1, or proposed order number 1, that actually continues while the disaster declaration is in place until otherwise modified or rescinded.
Okay. That's good. Thank you, Ed.
So that was order number 1. You said?
Order number 1, and then order number two is April the 3rd. Is that correct?
That's correct. And for everyone's knowledge, current state of disaster is in place until April 18th of 2020.
And at those points, we will then decide whether this coronavirus has stabilized or where we're at in all that process. And the things that have kind of led up to this is that, I mean, what I've heard and read, it looks like, apparently Italy might not have been as quick on the trigger as it turns out, to try to limit contact with other people for the spread of the virus, and it spread pretty quick over there. And after they realized that might be part of the problem, and they began to not go out in public and do all those sorts of things, they stabilized over there the spread of the virus. So what the governor and President Trump, and of course in our court too, and the two cities are trying to do, is to keep that contact with, as much as we could, keep that from just social gatherings and all those sorts of things. It limits it to 10. To try to keep the spread, because if we don't stop the spread of that virus, there may be more draconian things that would happen from the Fed side. Because if this coronavirus, I mean, it's a flu, and I don't think it's anything that we need to, you know, jump off the cliff about, but we do need to be cautious about it, and we need to be careful about our contact with people and it be it as minimal as we can. And so these actions help our county employees, but it also helps the public because we deal with a lot of public coming through all of our facilities. So we are, in effect, we're not totally closing to the public because there are a lot of actions that have to have the public involvement, especially in the court system. I mean, it's just, you know, there's things that have to continue on, and so we're not totally shutting down any of the offices, but we'd like to keep a semblance of employees online, essential employees. Certainly, if the elected officials or department heads can work at home, during this time it's okay. You know, Eric, our IT director, has done a monumental job of trying to get things on board so we could do those sorts of things and have essential staff that need to work from home actually be set up to work at home. So it's not, they're all precautions that we're trying to take to keep not only our employees safe, but the citizens the public who access our buildings and keep the minimum contact between people as we can. I don't know does anybody have any?
Well, I'd just like to say that this is a prudent course. We want to keep contact to the minimum and keep our essential services going. And the objective here is to flatten the curve of the spread. Just everybody remind yourself to wash your hands a lot and use hand sanitizer when you can't, and be safe.
And I see Santos out there. I don't know whether do you want to come up and I didn't mean to call you out on
Santos Navarrete, Brazos County Health District Director, Health Director. The judge is on target with our message from the Health District is to keep that social distancing in place and limit gatherings to 10. That's been identified. That's CDC guidance that we need to follow, and that's guidance that will be given from the President down through our Governor and Dr. Hellerstedt. At today's briefing by Governor Abbott, Dr. Hellerstedt, who is the Commissioner for Texas Department of Health State Services, declared a public health emergency. This is the first time it's been done in 101 years. So this is serious business that we're talking about. Commissioner Berry talked about flattening the curve, and the only way we're going to do that is being able to adhere to the precautions of social distancing. And then when we start talking about NPIs, non-pharmaceutical interventions, we're talking personal interventions such as was mentioned before, washing your hands, using disinfectant. If you cough or sneeze, cover the cough. If you're using a tissue, discard that tissue in the trash and immediately wash your hands. If you have no soap and water available, use hand sanitizer, but you need to wash your hands for at least 20 seconds when you wash your hands. When we start talking about community intervention strategies, we are talking more about the social distancing that we've mentioned before. And then we talk about environmental strategies. We're talking about disinfecting surfaces. Research has shown over the last few weeks that coronavirus can live on surfaces such as stainless steel and plastic for up to 3 days. And the virus, once you sneeze or cough, can be suspended in the air for up to 3 hours. So, you know, this is a very virulent virus, and we need to be cautious that if you're one of the other protective measures. If you're sick, stay home. If your kids are sick, make sure they stay home. And if you have symptoms of coronavirus, such as fever over 101, if you have a cough, you have difficulty in breathing, you need to contact your primary care provider or call the emergency room, advise them of those symptoms that you have. So in case they ask you to come in to get tested, they're aware of that. They need to be prepared so they can wear their personal protective equipment. Now, there is a shortage of PPE, personal protective equipment, across the United States. So we need to make sure that if you've got most people, 80% of the people that are infected with coronavirus will have no symptoms, and they'll recover quickly. Currently, we're experiencing mild to moderate symptoms in the patients that are positive for coronavirus. Those that do require hospitalization get very ill quickly, and they need supportive care such as ventilators, and that's a short supply of ventilators across the United States. The message for us here in Brazos County is to follow what the judges recommended, and for us to make sure that we take ownership as residents of Brazos County and we adhere to those CDC guidance that's been put out. We want to make sure that everybody remains safe, they stay coronavirus free, and the only way we can do that is we do it as a community. Anyone have any questions for me? Thank you, Judge.
All right. I don't know whether, I see the sheriff out there. I don't know whether you might want to get up. I'm calling on folks, and I hadn't said anything to them beforehand, so it might catch you off guard. But I know, the county government is a big government, got lots of elected officials, and I know we all have different roles and constitutional duties and that sort of thing, and I know the sheriff has the jail that he's having to deal with, and then of course all of his law enforcement, and those are special circumstances. And I don't know, I know y'all are doing every caution you can over there to try to keep it from ever getting into the jail, and I thought you might want to comment on it.
Right, thank you for that opportunity. We are in fact very worried about the introduction of this virus into our jail, so we're taking extreme precautions to prevent that. We have educated all of our staff on how to maintain their own health and keep themselves from being at risk. But anyway, we have, at this point, we've ordered that we will start controlling our jail populations the best we can with the statutory options that we have. We've asked local law enforcement to cite and release on Class C misdemeanors and those A and B misdemeanors that they can do so. We have a plan in place that will be triggered by any possible exposure or by the number of exposures and confirmed cases in Brazos County. So we have 2 more levels that we can go to if we need to. We are also manning our emergency command center, and we started that this morning, and we'll continue to do that through the emergency. So I can tell you that our staff, we've been talking about resiliency and the social things that we're talking about, the social separation, so we're minding those things, but we're still going to maintain our calls for service, and we'll still maintain our emergency response. And we will, again, we have protocols for the safety of our deputies and officers for that, but we are here to serve.
Thank you, Sheriff, and I have no doubt you and your staff will do a great job of that.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ed Bull.
Thank you, Judge, Court, members of the public. Just so everyone's clear on what these orders do, there's 2 that have been presented to the court under its consideration today. Order number 1 and order number 2. Order number 1, as the judge stated, is a further clarification and adoption by the Commissioners Court of Brazos County that does follow suit what College Station and the City of Bryan has done, which is implement closures. In our case, they go in effect 9 p.m. this evening in regards to restaurants and bars. The restaurants will still be allowed, just as those same other orders, curbside, delivery, pickup, drive-through service. Again, that starts, if approved, at 9 p.m. this evening. The other is it does put in place a 10-person maximum in regards to gatherings. And it does elaborate at least some in regards to gatherings and what that definition is. And it does not apply to grocery stores, pharmacies, things that provides essential services to the citizens of Brazos County, especially during this time of declared disaster. So I want to, I guess, relying on the court to provide that guidance that this is not a time to panic. There's still, we're preparing, and hopefully it does not get any worse at this point. But in the event, these are the steps that have been requested that take place. The other document, order number 2, is specifically in regards to the county, and it begins at midnight tonight, in which the county will go to essential functions only, essential personnel only. So that means that essential individuals or employees that have been identified by the department heads, by the elected officials, will continue to work here at the county, but the county will be closed to the general public. For those departments such as the tax office, the courts, the district clerk, the county clerk, we're still working out procedures in order for people to still take care of business, but that's going to be ongoing, and we'll get the public additional information. But for right now, in regards to the closing, it was for the general public. It doesn't mean we're shutting our windows or shutting our doors completely, but it does mean that we're going to essential functions only during this disaster declaration. That will continue until April 3rd. And it will either continue or expire depending on action of the court.
Okay. Thank you, Ed, for the clarification. Do I have? Oh, okay. Come on up.
If I may address the court also. I would just like to also let everyone know that I'm the Executive Director of Juvenile Services, and Linda Ricketson, and I wanted to let people know that we're following a lot of the same protocols. We have been working closely with the District Attorney's Office, the police departments, to also limit the number of children that are being brought into juvenile services. We are making sure that the children that are there, we are taking temperatures of our staff, and monitoring the situation closely. And I just think that people should know that juveniles also has set up certain protocols. We're not traveling, we're just taking every precaution that we can also for our children. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Judge, come on up.
My name is Steve Smith. I'm judge of the 361st, and I serve as the local administrative judge. We're going to do exactly what Judge Peters has said. We're going to reduce our workload to essential hearings only. We've already canceled jury panels for the 23rd and the 30th of March, and we will likely do that through the time period that these resolutions are in effect. But one thing I need for the public to know is this. We are going to still continue to send out jury service notices through the district clerk's office. You should not ignore those offices or those notices, because they are not setting jury service for the present time. They're setting them 2 and 3 months down the road. And if you don't return those and we don't have juries in place and these items are lifted, we will go weeks and months perhaps without being able to seat juries. So if you get a jury summons in the mail, return that jury summons just like you would if there were no resolutions in place. And we would appreciate that very much. Yes, and please continue to call in if you have present jury service. Call the number on the Sunday or whatever day it is before that you're scheduled to serve to make sure whether you will or will not be able to serve as a juror. And also, if you don't have a computer to return your jury summons information with, please call jury services and they will help you get on a particular jury for the schedule that will fit your schedule. Thank you.
Thank you, Judge. And that's critical that they continue to respond back to those jury summonses because, as you said, it'll as we get through this, and we're going to, as we get through it, y'all need to be able to pick up business and continue on just like we've always done. So thank you. Is there anybody else that would? Christy, come on up.
Good afternoon. I'm Christine Rowe. I'm the Brazos County Tax Assessor Collector. I did send out a notice approximately noon today indicating that the tax office will close to the public at 4 o'clock today. That is simply person-to-person transactions. My staff will still be in place. We can do almost everything through the mail, online, through our drive-through windows, which will continue to be open. There are some transactions that are going to be a little bit more complicated, being title transactions between individuals, but we will continue to serve the businesses, the dealerships, the title companies. We're simply modifying the way we do business and extending these services out in different ways. But I do need the public to know that the lobby will be closed to the public effective 4 o'clock today. Thank you.
So I've got a couple of license due. Can I do that online? What am I?
It depends.
Okay.
But if you will call my office, we will walk you through whatever we need to do to help you take care of that,
All
Judge.
right.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
Judge, I think that you're correct in assuming that there's going to be lots of people learning how to handle transactions in a totally different way than they had. And, that is beneficial probably for all of us in the long run, although it's an inconvenience for us in the short term. I want to just express my appreciation to all of our staff for the things that they are doing in order to deal with what are heretofore uncharted waters.
That's correct. Thank you, Steve.
Yes, Tom.
Yes, sir.
Is anybody else that? Anybody else want to speak up? Well, as you can see, we've got a lot of elected officials with lots of different duties, and so and this whole thing impacts everybody in our whole community. So I think the message is we need to stay calm. We can continue to do a lot of our business, but follow all the CDC rules and you know, have limited contact as we can. And Judge Hill, do you want to come up?
Good afternoon, Judge Rick Hill, Brazos County Justice of the Peace, Precinct 3, representing the 3 other JPs, Judge Vasquez, Judge Elliott, and Judge Nunn. I want you guys to know that I think we changed the narrative. The narrative is not closed to the public, but open, but different, all right? We're going to serve our community. I just got off I watched the Governor Abbott's press conference, and he says operationally, the government will not shut down. We are going to do business. Judge Hawthorne was at my court this morning with his staff. We actually used a program which had people in Judge Bryan's court, in my office, on phones, on iPads, and literally we had 6 people which we could hold a trial with plaintiffs, litigants, and defendants, and it could be done all remotely. All right, that's where we're headed with this. What's great about the Brazos County is we're going to survive this, and we're going to do the things necessary to stop this curve, shut it down, and move on, and we're going to do it together. So that's all I have to say about that.
Thanks, Judge. And I while we're still working on this curve on the coronavirus, I think we are ahead of the curve as far as our technology. IT has put a lot of things in place to get us to where it is. I mean, it's not like we're starting from scratch. And Eric Caldwell's director with IT, and I want to thank you for everything you've done. You've stepped up, and everybody's in a, I wouldn't call it a crisis mode, but we got a short time to try to get a lot of things done, and you've done a lot to do that. I want to thank all the elected officials, because we need to work together to make all this work and make sure that we assure the public that, you know, it isn't something that we need to get concerned about in the sense that we're in a crisis mode. But we need to be safe, and we need to keep our employees and our public safe. And so that's what the intent of all this is. Is there anybody else who wants to speak? If there's nobody else,
I'd like to just commend County Catalina. I'd like to commend all of our employees and elected officials for working so hard and trying to get this taken care of as quickly as possible. And I think we have a great crew, and everybody's really stepped up and done their job to make this happen, and I appreciate it very much.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. If there's no other comments, then we'll need to take action, and we've got a motion and a second to approve these two. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Was that unanimous? Commissioner Cawley? That might have dropped off, I'm not sure, but anyway, the motion passes. And the next item is to adjourn. Thank you, everyone, for coming. I think I'm